G'day team, welcome to another episode of Sportscode and Chat. This time we're going to look at making an output report for NHL hits data. So each NHL team is provided by the league what they call hits data. I think hits is just the name of like the data set itself. And at least in Sportscode, and I believe in other software, you can bring in that data live. So I want to create a report that would allow you to view this information both after the game and maybe in between periods that can provide some value. So I've got a couple of games. I've got this game between the Oilers and Florida as my example, and I've got a second game in another folder also with the Oilers in Florida. So I've just got two of their Stanley Cup games. And looking at the matrix, we do have a lot of information. I mean, we have like face-offs and goals and shots and all that good stuff. And then in this matrix, we have all kinds of stuff here as well. So like game clock, hitter, like players on ice, shooters, shot type, outcome, zone, strength. So we got a lot of stuff. So I want to output this information into a output report. And I think where I'm going to start is by doing time on ice, because at least in between periods, that's where I hear a lot of coaches, at least feedback I get, is they want to get time on ice information. We do just have had time on ice information, and we could just run very easily a length script, and we probably will. That's going to be something very easy. So we're probably going to do length script. I'm probably going to do number of shifts, overall length time on ice. I want to do length of shifts, overall time on ice. I want to do overlap length with these two rows, penalty kill and power play. And I was thinking about doing even like a matrix of some kind of like length of time spent on the ice when other players are also on the ice. But I don't think that would be, that might just be a lot of work. And I don't know how helpful that would be. So we'll see, because I mean, it would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So like maybe 20 by 20 grid, which is not probably going to be worth it. So I don't think I'll do that. So let's go new code window and let's go code. And this is going to be the name of my team. Now I just did something for basketball. So I'm going to steal this. Here we go. So here's my team and my primary and secondary colors. So my team is going to be Edmonton, which are all caps. Edmonton Oilers. There we go. Might need to make the name text a little bit bigger, smaller, because we'll have some teams that have longer names in the league, like the Vegas Golden Knights. Their dark color is going to be dark blue, and their light color is going to be orange. I like to have these dark and light colors just because it adds some additional color to the window, and it also adds more customization. So all of these buttons that I have here already have button IDs: team, primary, and secondary. I might change these to let's go dark and light. That'll be a little bit easier to spell and use, and a bit more practical, because that's what they are, dark and light colors. So the first thing I want to do is I want to be able to pull all the players. Now fortunately, these instances like face off, if we look in the sorter, have a row for players on ice. So this is probably what I'm going to use to pull out like all the players. Oh my goodness, actually maybe not. Yeah, because this is all the players from both teams. So that's going to be very annoying. So we got face-off players. That's also both teams. So what row has players of just Edmonton? because that's the annoying thing about this data set, and I want to do this data set without actually touching anything. I don't want to change anything. Is that, like, even in the face-off players here, that these are players from both teams. I'm guessing. I mean, I don't know the Florida and Edmonton rosters off by heart, but I can see that 12, 12, 8, 8, 23, 23, that these are going to be on both sides. And unfortunately, that might be all the way down. I'm hoping there's going to be something that does not have all the players in it. Because you'll see that essentially these are like mirrored. 21, 4, 1, 1, 1, 24. Oh, maybe not. And this one has some of the players, but not all of them. What about hits? Hitter. That's got just, I believe. Yeah, but for example, I don't see Draisaitl here. So that's not going to be very helpful, considering he is one of the best players. What about shots? So you got shooter, but this is not going to be all the players, obviously. This is going to be most of them. It's not going to be all of them. So we got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 15 players, and I believe there was 19 overall, so we're still missing 4. I still might just do that one just to get started. Because I mean, if you're not taking a shot, I mean, we might not need your time on ice anyway. Again, I don't know a lot about hockey, so we'll see how it goes. So what we need to do is drag down another code button, and we're going to make this the button color. Let's go dark. We're then going to change the identifiers. We want to show the name, but we want to make this white because it's going to be the dark color in the background. Let's go 12, and I want to make sure that this button's long enough because these names are going to be long. We might need to go longer than that. We can always adjust that, change the height. There we go. And then change the stroke to black. Alrighty, so now I've got my button kind of set up here. This can be an inactive button as well. We need this to give it a button ID. It's going to be time on ice _01. And we're going to say we need to identify the row name. So let's go name equals, let's go row, no, name equals button name team, which is the button ID of our Edmonton Oilers button, plus artificial gap, and we're going to go for shot, and then we're going to go row. It's going to equal instances where row equals name, and now we're going to go unique, and this is going to equal unique string, my favorite underrated scripting function, and this is going to be row. We're going to look in the group shooter, and it's going to be the first unique label there, and here we're going to put if unique equals nothing at all, show show unique. So what that means, so I'll just go show nothing at all. And what I'm going to do here is go same script if unique equals that, button opacity 30, button opacity 100. So what this means is we're looking in the row of shot, and we're looking for the first unique name in the group shooter in the row Edmonton Oilers shot. If that returns nothing, show nothing. Otherwise, show the name of the player. If it returns nothing, make the best button opacity 30. If it does return something, the button opacity 100. And that won't be relevant for this first one, but once we get to like the 20th player, if a 20th player doesn't have any time on ice, we don't want it really to show anything at all. That's kind of the logic there. So, oh, nothing. Let's go front. Still nothing. Did I mess up somewhere? What happened? I suspect I got the group name wrong. It's not shooter, I suspect it's something else. Oh no, it is shooter. Did I get the row wrong? Shot. All lowercase, uppercase S. No, that's right. Edmonton. They spell Edmonton wrong. Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers shot. What am I doing wrong? I'm sure it'll be something blindingly obvious. It's not returning anything. Oh, it's show unique, that's why. Rename. Here we go. Yeah, automatically I'm thinking this needs to be longer. 150. But even then, he's not got a very long name. What if we get Ryan Nugent Hopkins in there? We might need to lower the size of this to 11, maybe even less, 10. Maybe that's what we'll do there. Alrighty. So we got our first one. If we were to go, for example, to a second one, we just have to change the button ID, change this to 2, and we get Warren Fagali. Boy, I'm probably going to butcher that name. So now what we want to do is create a button there, just a button here, just so I can make sure everything is lined up right. Make these a lot smaller. These don't have to be as big because there's no names going in here, so these can be like 100, maybe even smaller. Let's go 80, and these are not going to have any button ID. This one's going to have an action button. Let's get rid of that for now, and this is going to be an inactive button. It's going to say let's go time on ice. Let's just go raw time on ice. This is going to be the button color of light. Change this to black, and it's going to have no scripting because obviously it's just a title button except for the button color. And now after all of that, this is what we get. This button's not going to have any scripting in it at the moment, or at least the button color we want to stay as white. We want the output to be black, so we need to change the output, not the name. Output needs to be black, light. Change this to O. I like to give it the default output of something of what it's going to be by default. So in this case, minutes and seconds. I just think it looks nicer. And now, with that in mind, we can actually do the scripting for this button. So, time on ice for this player. This will be a pretty easy script. So it's going to be length length equals length instances where row equals time on ice underscore row 1, show timer 2. This might be the easiest script we do in the entire window. We'll create the gap there. The spacing between these doesn't matter. I just like to have it clean. There we go. 12 minutes and 22 seconds, and we can always double check that by going to his row. Where is he? There he is. 12 minutes and 22 seconds. So we see that is in fact correct. And we should be able to click that and get the video, or right click it and send it to the sorter. Alrighty, so time on ice is done. Let's move on to number of shifts. So it's just going to be called shifts. And remember, I want this to be operational between periods as well, so keep that in mind, as well as multiple games. 0 is going to be the default output text. Not for this though, that's not the, there we go, 0. And this is going to be show count instances. So this one's even going to be even easier than the last one. Same video though. So 20 shifts for 12 minutes and 22 seconds. And again, we can always double check that if that is correct. We can see there that is in fact 20 shifts. And now what I want to do is do average length of shift. So we're going to do av shift time. So what we're going to do is going to steal this, put that in here. So length, we're going to have count is going to equal count instances where row equals time on ice underscore row 1. And now we need to divide one by the other, length by the count, so it's going to be round equals what do I want to do here? Round length. Do I even want to do that? No, I just want to do length divided by count. I want to show timer 2 for round. It's not even the round. Math. 37 seconds. Does that sound about right? 37 times 20 equals whatever that is. I'm going to just guess that's correct. I mean 37 seconds, that seems about correct. Again, I don't know if that is, but I'm going to go with it. Now, next thing I want to do is power play shifts. So this is where it's going to get a little complicated because we need to use overlap length. So here we have power play. Let's just move that down here to this player. And we see that this player had no power play shifts at all. So he might not be the best person to do this with. Let's see if he has any penalty kill shifts. He does. He does in fact have a penalty kill shift. In fact, he's got 2. We can see there. Oh, we can see here that he has 1, and then there's 1 at the end. So I want to grab the time and the amount of that over length. Yeah, I'll probably do. So there's probably going to be 4 more things here. There's going to be penalty kill shifts, penalty kill like length time. Actually, I'll probably just make those 2. We'll do 3 more. We'll do even strength shifts, but we don't even have even strength as an option. No, I don't know if we'll be able to do. Well, we could do even kill shifts, or even strength shifts, but I don't know if I want to bother. So I think we'll just have two here. We'll have penalty kill and power play. So let's do penalty kill first. This is going to be penalty kill. We don't need to make it that long. PK shifts. Alrighty. So overlap is not my favorite thing in the world. I find it slightly confusing. So we need to do name equals button name team plus penalty killing 4-on-5. Overlap instances where row equals time on ice underscore 01. Instances where row equals name. Now we need to do the time, length, overlap underscore length, overlap again. I'm trying to remember this as I go, so this might be completely wrong. So now I want to go show count overlap where row equals Alright, I've got like kind of a fact sheet that I look at if this is all wrong, but I ideally don't want to look at my little fact sheet. So now I can go show count. I want to go show length. I think that's going to be put in seconds, so we might be changing that here in a second. Plus count. Oh. I think that's what I need to do. Yep. So here's the seconds. So was kind of right. But now I want to go show timer 2. So 52 seconds. 2 shifts for 52 seconds. So it would be this shift here and this shift here. Yep, 52 seconds. There are in fact 2 shifts. I do want to now add video. So I'm going to go show overlap where row equals time on ice 1. Now I get the video. So now all I need to do is do the same thing for power play shifts. Now the other thing I don't remember is whether this works for like when you select a bunch of timelines, or if this only works over one game, which would kind of obviously be important. Power play 5-on-4. So it's the exact same thing, but for the other power play row, or for the power play row, and we're going to get 0 because he didn't have any. These are the things we're going to have here. So time on ice, number of shifts, average shift time. I don't know why I have two of these. Power play shifts and penalty kill shifts. Ideally I had even strength shifts, but to get that I'd have to essentially like do a query where I'm getting all of the shifts and taking off the power play and penalty kill shifts, which I don't really want to do. So what I need to do now for this to move into this player is change the button ID of all of these, which is time on ice 1 to time on ice 2. So this is where we're going to be doing a lot of find and replace. So file, new code window, and here we're looking for time on ice underscore 01 with time on ice underscore 02. Move this into this new window. I do need to change this from 1 to 2, but now I have this player's shifts. Hit execute a couple of times, and he had one penalty kill shift for 1 second. It seems slightly ridiculous. Where is he? There he is. So I suspect they're referring to like the 1 second that they might cross over here. I mean, we can't really get rid of that, so that's fine. Doesn't really matter. Everything else looks good though, so the average shift time though doesn't seem correct. I mean, it seems like a very small amount of time to be on the ice. Again, I'm naive to these things. So we'll see what happens the further we go down. So we want to go 2, now 3. Three, 4. And I do need to change the script for the unique string. And 4, 5. So let's go do that really quick. 3, 4, and 5. So now we have Connor McDavid come in with the 2 power play shifts. And now these other players yet have power play shifts. And the other thing I'm wondering about as well is that you'll see in this kind of fake window what happens to this button if there's nothing in it. But none of these other buttons also go. None of these other buttons also go faint. So I'm wondering if I need to add a script into these buttons that also allow it to go faint or lower opacity. So what that script would have to be though would have to be like if button time on ice underscore 1 equals, in fact you would get rid of the button, equals nothing, button opacity 30, button opacity 100. That would be the script, I believe. We won't really know until we get there to the bottom. But now I have to add this to every script that I've done so far. It's the bad thing about deciding to do things or add things after the fact, or if you only just realized you made a mistake. I can't really find or replace this mistake because it's a unique button ID each time. But fortunately I only did 5 players. We're obviously not going to make the entire window in this version of Sportscode and chat. We'll get just to as much as I can be bothered with, because we're only just doing time on ice right now. We still haven't got that far over how many times or how much time, so I'll still have to do like face-offs and goals and shots and all that other good stuff. Alrighty. So now I'll take this row. I accidentally deleted my fake code window. So this will be 5, 4, 6. And I'm thinking about doing 20 of these. So feel free to fast forward as I get to 20. So I'm only at 9, and I still have to go back and change the unique string script. And again, I'm trying to do this without changing any data in the timeline. Because as soon as you change the data, you're adding like additional steps, and I want this to be like plug and play. Like you just have to change the names and the colors if you want, and then everything else changes below that. That's the goal. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we see now the updated information. All these players played the exact same amount of time on ice, which makes me suspicious. But it is looking in the correct row. Halfway, but it'll be a lot quicker now because we've got a system. We'll stop at like 16, because 16 will be, in that shots row we had 15 players, so 16 should be the first one where the button's opacity will change, so we can see what that looks like. Once you start doing find and replace a lot, you become really quick at it. And even though everyone I know is watching does not have NHL's hits data, I'm hoping you can pick up some little tips and tricks along the way around unique string, overlap length, overlap itself, button IDs, all that good stuff. There we go, there's 16. I need to go back and change these to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now we can see what this looks like. So this one, for some reason, is gone faint. It's the same as that one up there. I don't know why. Is it because it's what it was called to begin with? Let's open it up again. Where it's sticking with the names that it's been given. because that's why. It's because I've got show instead of rename. So what I need to do is just find and replace. There we go. There we go. So now it's blank, as it should be. So now I just need to finish the other ones. But now I made that change, I need to get a new one here. Time on ice underscore 16 with time on ice underscore 17. Finish the pattern. There we go. So last 20, but I need to change the script here to 16 to 17, 18, 19, etc. Everything else will be done. And again, this annoyingly doesn't get all the players, because it doesn't get all the players who didn't take shots, but I don't really have a workaround around that right now because none of these other instances have that information. Annoyingly, the players on ice column has everyone in it, which doesn't really make any sense. Like, give me just the players that are on ice for my team. But you know what? You win some, you lose some. So, here's my little time on ice matrix complete. Got the players on the y-axis, time on ice, shifts, average shift time, power play shifts, and PK shifts there on the horizontal axis. And then everything is below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power play shifts, and we've got some other players doing a lot more PK shifts. This guy did 6 PK shifts. That doesn't seem right. I don't think there even were 6 PK shifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I guess there were. He was on for all of them. So, what do we do next? Time on ice is done. We should give it a nice little title. Let's go. There we go. Take this. Let's just change the font. Seems too big. There we go. Let's go. Time on ice matrix. There we go. So next thing we want to probably look at is face-offs. So let's just move this over there and let's look at the face-offs. Face-offs are weird. Again, we got the face-off players, but it's the players from both teams. Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to pause right here. Alright, we're back. Now, looking at the face-off rows, I think we're really stitched up here. So if I select just like these two instances here from the Florida and Edmonton face-offs, we can see here that we have the face-off players. Now in this game, the Edmonton player is first, followed by the Florida player. But if we want to run this report over multiple games, which I do, that's not always the case. I just opened up another game and saw that the Florida player was first and then the Edmonton player. But either way, it's not split up into like teams, and the same labels are in both. The only thing that's going to change is the face-off result, depending on whether we're looking in the Oilers or the Panthers row, but the players are going to stay the same. So that means we can't use any unique string to pull out the player. So I couldn't really think of a way to really do this, and I thought of a strategy where I could be like checking this name against like this list of players. But if, like, let's say the query wasn't met, like the name doesn't match one of these players, then what do I do? So like I kind of am a little bit screwed here. So what I'm actually going to do instead is use this list of players again. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to have my time on ice matrix on one side, and then I'm basically going to put the face-off data over here. And similar to what I did down here where I kind of like, blanked out the players, I'm going to do that over here as well and say, okay, if this player wasn't in a face-off, just blank out the entire row and just have rows for like the face-off result. So that's what I'm going to do. So for my columns, I'm thinking of having like obviously I probably want like number of face-offs. And then I probably want like face-off win percentage. So this would be win percentage. And I'm thinking about maybe even having, should I have win percentage per strength? I'll probably have win percentage per zone. Well, let's do zone instead. So what we'll do is we'll go no zone, neutral zone, and D zone. So we got 5 kind of columns on one side and 5 on the other side. I'll probably delete that and just do like an overarching title like here somewhere for what this is. And what I want to do is I want to have like a number here and basically say, if like have an if then statement saying like if this number here is 0, like make everything here like down here where it's like the opacity equals 30. So what I'm going to do is let's do show count. Well, no, we need to go name equals button name team plus, what's the row called? Face off. We can move this back down. So we need to go show count. Here we need to get the group, and the group is face off players. Face off players. And we're just going to use the same time on ice thing here. So time on ice underscore 01. So we're going to do count. Turn this into variable where row equals name. Then I'm going to put here show count. But I'm also going to put if count equals 0, button opacity 30, button opacity 100. So let's see what we get. Blank, nothing. This guy had no face-offs, but I thought this guy did have face-offs. Enrique Adam. Oh, that was an organizer. Yeah, this guy did have a face-off. So, what did I do wrong then? Face-off players. Oh. There we go, 12. Alrighty. So win percentage. But what I want to do before I even get to win percentage is have the exact same thing. So these will kind of be connected. And then we're going to be calling out the win. It's going to be and win, or one. Which one is it? It's one. Because the label shows up twice, I need to make sure I don't put like label one as one, just one. If I put label one, it would count it as twice. So here we can put percentage. And here do we want to be fancy and do like colors? Like based on the winning percentage. I guess we might as well be fancy. So let's do round win divided by count times 100. Let's do one show win plus count plus up and down line plus percentage plus percentage sign. So what we should get is, let's add this parentheses. There we go, 6 of 12 for 50%. Now I don't really know what good winning percentage is. So let's do below 50% and 50% is red. Let's do 50 to 75% is orange. And let's do anything above 75% as green. That's going to be my numbers. And again, whether that's fair or not, I don't really know. I don't know, again, hockey well enough to know whether that's a fair kind of set of parameters. But that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to say if count equals 0, button color 100, if count is larger than 0 and percentage is smaller or equal than 50, button color red, if percentage is larger than 50, smaller or equal than 75. Actually, I want it to be just smaller than 75. I want to have 75 equal green. And I want this to be just small if percentage is smaller than 50, if percentage is larger or equal to 50, 75, and then last one, if percentage is larger than 75, we want the button color to be green. We wanted this one here to be orange. What did I do wrong? Oh. I thought it looked a bit weird when I did it the first time. So now it's orange, which is conflicts obviously with the button color above it, but you know, you win some, you lose some. So this is 80, 80, 80, 80. So this should just be slotting in right there. Why does it look like it's bigger? Oh, because that's why. These aren't spaced out properly. There we go. I'm very finicky with my presentation. I'm not like the greatest scripter in the world. Well, sorry, I'm not the greatest like designer in the world of these windows, but I do want it to look nice. So this will be very easy then to move this over to the offensive side. So now all I need to do is add down here and offensive. So I believe that was the name of the label. Yep, offensive down here. However, I need to change the kind of count here. This should be total. And then total here needs to be swapped with count, count, and count. So now this will be O of 1 for 0%, and it's red, which is correct. Because this count script is only for whether we want it to be invisible or not. And I could just use it for the total and the above one. Oh, actually, that's a good point. We didn't add any video. This one's got video. This does not have video. So let's do show. Let's just do wins. This one's going to do show everything in the offensive zone. And this one's going to be neutral. Make sure I spell it right. Neutral, and I want to go show that. And last one, and this should be defensive. And I can kind of check my work here because the total of these should equal 12. So we have 12 overall. So 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 1 equals 12. So that's actually, how does this work? So we went 4 or 5. Yeah, so this one should be, why has it got 33%? And this one should be 33% as well. So something went wrong here. I know this is right. That's right, because it should be 0. But something went wrong here. But what went wrong? Oh, I see. We're still dividing things by count. We want to divide it by total. By total and by total. There we go. That's much better. We could just save on scripting because we already did it up here. So that's right. 4 of 5, 80%. 2 of 6 for 33%. Of 1, 6 of 12. Now did Fageli, I don't know. Did he have any face-offs? No, he did not. So this will be a good one then to see what this will look like. So now we can copy and paste this. We're going to have to find and replace 20 times again. It's going to stink. Of course that means only if this goes well. See how it goes. So now, yeah, so that's kind of what I want. I wanted to kind of go invisible because it's not relevant as there is no face-offs there. You could even say it could go further and more invisible, maybe like even like maybe 20% instead of 30%. So let's just take this. Let's go 20. Maybe it wasn't a massive difference, but I still think it helps. So we now need to copy this, go back to our code window here because we changed something, and now we need to go time on ice underscore 02 with time on ice underscore 03. and go back down the list again. Now, if you do want to make output windows for yourself, because again, I'm using this NHL hits data that you probably don't have access to, with like your own data set, whether that be Instat, Sports Logic, your own coding, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email will be in the description below, or your sales rep, and we can arrange a implementation like Zoom call, which if you're a Huddle customer is free, and we can walk through how to like make these output reports for your organization, whether it be not only just hockey, but if you're watching this from another sport, basketball, soccer, rugby, all those other sports, we can do the same thing as well. Your call probably won't be with me, where I'm part of a team of 4 here in North America, and then we have 16 others across the world who do the same role as me, but in different markets. So we have 2 in Australia, a whole bunch in the UK, Europe, a couple in the Asian countries as well. So yeah, plenty of people to do calls with, no matter where you're at. If you are an NHL analyst watching this, then I'll just give this to you, because this should be adaptable to your kind of workflow straight away. Alrighty, we're at 11. We can always make sure that we're counting correctly, because the button ID of this Nugent Hopkins should be 11, but let's see where we're at. So we see here that these players, these two had almost identical, so 5, 3, 2, that equals 10, 5 and 3, that equals 8, so that's all correct. Let's make sure all the numbers match up. So it's neither finished down the list. So far, looking so good. Over halfway. I can't really think of another way to do face-offs based on the limited data that we have. Because ideally I'm just pulling the players who are actually in the face-offs. And again, if a player had a face-off but also didn't shoot, then they're at the moment not going to show up in my report either, which is also not ideal. Because the not shooting thing's not maybe an issue if I'm looking at multiple games. So if I'm looking at 10 games, then every player is probably going to have a shot over 10 games, except maybe obviously the goalkeeper. But if I'm looking at this from just the first period of one game, then that's a little bit more annoying. The alternative is if you're making these reports for just your own team anyway, you would probably hard code these names here in the middle. You're not going to use unique string. You're just going to put the names of the players, how they're formatted, and how you know that they're going to be formatted. We're just kind of being fancy using unique string. But also that if you're doing this or using this window in a scouting capacity, you're not going to want to have to write down the players every single time. Alrighty, so there we go. We're at 20. Oh boy. Oh boy. What happened down here? So these are just all the face-offs. All 59. We don't really want that though. So why is that happening? So it's reading face-off players, time on ice 16, but there's nothing here. If we do go, however, rename that, that is going to change this. It's also going to change this. So what I'm going to do is change first of all, let's change this script here. Instead of renaming nothing, we want to rename a dash. And then these scripts we want to rename there we go. So now I've just got the players who did face-offs and the players who had time on ice. And again, these are only players who are involved in shots. That should be correct. That is just white because yeah, these ones should also just be white because they didn't get involved, but I do want them to be opacity 100% because they still were involved in face-offs. So now what I want to do is let's just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and let's call this not dark, face-off analysis. Change this to white, increase the font to 14, and we're going to increase the height to 25 and move the entire button up. And when we do the other side, this is going to be now time on ice matrix. A weird bug in Sportscode right now is that depending on the size of your button, the color will change. Like these colors here are supposed to be the same, but though they actually look different. At least from a distance they do. I don't know if they are actually different. Let's actually have a look, I'm curious. 155.0, 158.6. So yeah, these two colors are actually different despite supposed to be being the same, and I think that's just because the size of the buttons, and that's just like a weird defect right now in Sportscode that the color changes depending on the size of the button. There we go. Look at that. So face-off analysis and time on ice matrix. So we have this nice little easy window to read. So you can go to the player, find their time on ice, go to the player, find their face-off analysis. I don't know if this would be nice separated. Probably not. Alrighty. So face-off's done, time on ice done. Next thing we look at is like shots. Ironically, that's what we already have here in terms of the players who took shots. Goals, that's an easy one. And then the other things here we can look at as well. Saves, we could do like a goalie analysis. I mean, we might just do some basic counts like, oh, you know, count the amount of giveaways, count the amount of hits, count the amount of shots, takeaways, all that good stuff. Let's look at the shots row. We have quite a lot of information actually in the shots row. You know, the goaltender, don't know if I really care about that. A blocker, empty net, I don't think I really care about that either. That's only in the one time they had a goal. the shot outcome, the type of shot, the zone. It's not going to be particularly relevant. What I might do is I want some way to incorporate charts. So I might have a chart for like shot outcome. And I also might want to look at opposition shots as well. So we'll do some, what's it called? We'll do some regular expression in here as well. So let's do a code button, and this is going to be the action button, and this is going to be called nothing for now. And this is going to be name equals button name. Actually, I think I might pause it here. I'm going to pause it here and we'll carry on next time. Alrighty, so I have a vision on my head for these shots. So if I look in the sorter, I can see that there is 4 different shot outcomes. We have blocks, goal, miss, save, and that's it. So those 4 different outcomes, I'm going to give 4 different colors. I'm going to give block yellow, miss orange, goal green, and save. Should we go save? You know, saves are better than a miss. Miss will be red. I don't know, we'll figure it out. So what I want to do is first of all the total amount of shots. So there's going to be team plus shot. We're going to do show count. Actually, no, we're not. Yeah, count equals count instances where row equals name. And we want to show total shots. Space there, count, and we want to show instances where row equals name. So we should get total shots 58. We want to make this button white. We want to show the output we want it to be light 14, and we want it to be probably a little bit skinnier. That's a fine thing. And then here I want to now have like as I said, I want to incorporate charts a little bit, so what we're going to do now is have this, and this is going to be the title for goals. It's going to be green, so I'm going to go button color GB, goals. We increase the font a little bit, so 12 will be fine. Goals, it's going to be red, and this is going to be miss. And now we're going to have saved. That's going to be yellow. And then we're going to have blocked, which is going to be orange. The reason I'm giving them specific color codes, it'll just mean that when I do the chart later, it'll be easier to identify the actual colors I want the chart to be. So now I can actually get the number here. There we go. One goal, one miss, or there'll be more than one miss. Is it miss or missed? Just miss. Here we're going to have saved and blocked. Maybe it's just block. No? Alright. What am I doing wrong? So it is block and save. Not saved. There we go. So I also want to have one more, but I'm going to create a little gap, and there's going to be just grey, and this is going to be on net percentage, and that's going to be a combination of saved and goals. With the total amount of shots. So it's going to be total equals count instances where row equals name on net. Let's go net. It's going to equal count goal or saved or saved? Save, where row equals name. I'm gonna have to take a short, quicker break. Alrighty, we're back. So I'm gonna make this grey as well, just for thematic presentation. And what I want to have here is like a little bar chart that shows the distribution of these particular events. So let's get a chart, and this is going to be a stacked column chart. We're going to hide the name, and let's get into the scripting. So I want to do the variable underscore, well, first we need the name of the row. It's going to be goal where row equal name. Repeat that 3 more times. Miss, save, and blocked. And now we go to the charts. Chart, count, 1. I'm not going to have any name. I'm going to have a color, and the color is going to match what I did over there. So RGB. and also on the video. Repeat that 3 more times. And this is going to be red, so this will be 100, 0, 0. This is yellow, this is going to be 100, 100, and this is going to be orange, which means it'll be 100, 50. So I should get something that looks like this, which is not right at all. First of all, where are my blocks? Well, that's why it's called blocked. There we go. And that's supposed to be orange. And this is the wrong way around. I want the orange to be at the bottom. So I need to do a little bit of whoopsie daisies to change the order of these. There we go. Flip the order. I don't want to see any of the axis names or any of this. I just want a straight bar. Fortunately, because of how few goals there are, that's going to be a very small sliver. But this is essentially now the distribution of shots. And let's change this to 45. There we go. Now let's do the same for the other team. Or the teams. So this is where it's going to get a little bit more complicated, because if I want to do the other teams, you know, I've got 2 games here against the Florida Panthers, so it's against the same opposition, but that's not always going to be the case. You might be pulling games against multiple other teams. So this is where we're going to get a little fancy with how we do the scripting, because we're going to use regular expression. So what we need to do is we're going to go count all instances where row equals, and here instead of this I'm going to put quotation mark, period, star, and I'm going to put shot. And I'm going to put this as all. So this is going to count all the shots. I'm then going to have another one. I'm just going to call this home. And this is going to be count instances where row equals our row. So our final calculation, and actually I'm going to remove the word count here. Our final calculation is going to be count all minus count home. And that's what we're going to show over here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go show all and not home. And then the final thing I need to do is just right click and use regular expression, because that allows us to use this kind of like syntax here. So I identified all of the shots. I then identified just our shots. I then removed one from the other. So it's going to get us all opposition shots. I'm showing that. And then for the video, I'm showing all the shots, but not our shots. So I'm just quite literally going and not. So now I can see we have 55 shots in this game from the other team. And if I go send a sorter, we'll see those are all the Florida Panther shots. So now I kind of have to use that same logic for the goals, misses, saves, and blocks. So this will probably take not a while, because I just need to do it once and then repeat with these different outcomes. In fact, it shouldn't take too long at all, because this will just be... In fact, we're just going to copy this. Instead of instances, we're going to put goal, goal. And that should actually be it, really. Oh, no, just show final. 2. So 2 goals. And just copy this here. Change goal for miss and miss. Change for save and save. And change for block and block. This will be a little bit more complicated. Oh, minus. That's just because we need to use regular expression, use regular expression, use regular expression, and same here. So this will now change. There we go. And now we need to get on net. So I never finished the calculation over here, so I need to go back and change that. Net underscore home. I just gave up at some point finishing that calculation. So shot so then total what is equal total all minus total home net will equal net all minus net home, and then show round net divided by total times 100 1 plus. We're going to make this an inactive button with no video. We're just going to copy this script here, move over here, let's do that. Inactive. So there we go. So we can kind of fact check this by looking at the goals and the saves. So 22. So it should be 22 divided by 55. 22 divided by 55 times 100. What? 22. Sorry, 21. 21 divided by 55 equals times 100. 38. So that's right. Now we need to do a chart. This is going to be a massive pain in the ass. Oh. So it's going to be variable O1 home There might be an easier way to do this, but if there is, I don't know what it is. This is just kind of my way to get everything that's the opposition when the opposition changes every game. So this chart here is not going to have any video in it. So we can get rid of those. If you want to watch the video, you can always just watch it by selecting one of these numbers here. So it's going to be count home minus count And 3, 2, 1. And fail. What do we do wrong? I did another one of these charts recently where I'm using regular expression, so I know it kind of works, so I might need to go fact check that. Don't know why it's not working here then. Shot. Because I'm not getting the video later on. Let's add the word count down all the way here. Hmm. Oh. Well, that worked for some reason. So we want a block to be orange. Well, I don't know what I did differently there, but it's now working. So let's not analyze it any further and just be happy it's working. So we want this to be yellow. We want this to be red. And we want this to be green. There we go. So I just need to add some titles here for what these are. So I want this to be smaller font. Formatting this title, we can increase the size of this, which will give us a little bit more green to see. There we go. So here's my shot analysis. It's capitalized. I think I'll get rid of the word shots. You mean you don't need it to be alrighty. What do we want to do next? I mean, I was going to say like shot analysis. Oh, sorry, goalie analysis. But like that's kind of what the it's kind of what the shots analysis is anyway. So be looking in this row. I mean, I guess you'd be looking at the shot type maybe. I guess do we want to put things like giveaways and takeaways? To be honest, looking at this, I think the last thing we might put is just some goalie analysis, and that might literally be it. We might just be able to finish it off like that. So I think it'll be the other way around. I think this will be the first thing at the top. And then we'll have this here below it. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably put this into a little box. So let's go code, active, background, actually no background color. Stroke is going to be 3 wide, stroke is going to be light gray. No name or identifiers. We're going to send this to the back. And we're just going to have this as a nice little container. There we go. Here's my shot analysis. Now we'll do the same thing for the goalie. So we're going to look in the save against row. And I mean, I don't know how many goalies you're planning to have, or goaltenders. So we'll probably have slots for 3. What's weird though, it doesn't even have the result, which is a bit odd. We go shot against. Why is it going to be the other goalkeeper for the shot against row? Oh, this is the shots row. was the shot against row. Who's the goalkeeper? So if I look at the Florida shots, it's going to be the goalkeeper of... I feel like this is wrong. Like the goalkeeper should be... Oh no, it's because I'm always looking at the wrong. Yeah, the Florida goalkeeper's Bobrovsky, and then the Oilers goalkeeper is Skinner. Alright, so shot against is what we want to look at. And we don't really care about blocks. These blocks aren't a goalkeeper stat. Someone else has blocked them. I guess that'd be something you could look at as a stat, but I don't really care about that at the moment. I like how there's the one clip where the goalkeeper is unknown, like it changed halfway through the period or something. Same with misses. Like, do misses really count as a goalkeeper stat? We only really care about saves though, don't we? So maybe that's why there was no result there. So we're just looking at the saves. But we do want to look at the goals as well, right? So keep this sorter open. Goaltender. All one word. And then this would be, if there was another goalkeeper, which there isn't, this would be the second one. And this would be the third one. Again, we know there isn't a third or a second one in this game. Well, actually, that's not true. This is going to show up as unknown. Oh no, it didn't show up as unknown. Alright. I'm going to change the scripting of these really quick. One of those bottom ones to go blank, like these ones next to it had. Just wanted to put in a new window to do that because I didn't know if I was going to change other scripting somewhere else that I didn't want to change at this point. So here are my goalkeepers, or goaltenders. What I'm going to have is stats. So I line this up. Maybe that's what I could do down here. For these ones, instead of shot, I could look at, let's go saves. And we could do goaltender. One. Two. Three. Look at that. That might be a little bit better. I might not do 3. Let's just do the 2. So the goalkeeper kind of fills in at the end there. Nice. So this is not going to be time on ice. This is going to be just saves. Save. Going to change these button IDs. There we go. Show count goaltender. Need to define the group first. Where row equals name. I want to show that as the video. And I want to say if GT_01. So he's in 19 saves, which we can see here in the opposition stats make sense. I'm going to come on over and do goals allowed. Now for that we're going to have to look in the shot against row. We probably should be doing for both as well. We should probably be doing shot against. We'll get the same number. Whoa, that's not right. Why'd they go up so much? Shot against. Should still be just the 19. Oh, that's because I'm not looking in the and save. That's why. There we go. Back down to 19. So let's just copy all of this. And this should be to goal. Goal. So what is save percentage? What is save percentage in hockey? What is save percentage in hockey? shots on goal, a goalkeeper stops. Does it have to be on goal, or does it have to be like, because if a shot is blocked or missed, does that count as a save percentage because it's not on the goal? I'm going to take it as like every single one that goes on goal, because it would make sense that shots that are missed or blocked count as against your, or count for your save percentage. So this will be total. It's going to equal the count of goal and save. This one's going to be just save equals just the word save. This is going to be an inactive button, no video. And here we're going to go show around everyone's favorite percentage script. Well, that's not right. Goal or save. There we go. 90.5%. Now, do I want to include like successes against different shot types? I don't really know if that's relevant. Maybe strength. Also don't know if that's relevant. So I'm just going to leave it as is. It's going to be simple. So because of that, I just need to now do find and replace just twice. Should be much quicker. And they should just be blanked out. So we're done. Now the interesting part of this will be now if I go to, for example, report mode and go all timelines in a folder, select my folder here, mash the execute button a few times. So now I've got over 2 games. Basically the same information, obviously. A couple of more players were added over here. But I've still got all of my face-off information as well. Very nice. Very nice. Again, if I messed anything up, don't hesitate to let me know. This was just kind of like my attempt of doing this. I guess the last thing I'll add was let's just add the Huddle Sportscode logo. There we go. Very nice. So here's my finished NHL hits output window for both between periods and after games or pre-match scouts. And all you need to do is change the name in the top left-hand corner along with the colors, and everything else should change. We can actually test that out right now, because since the other team we looked at was Florida, let's just, for example, change this to light gray. Let's change this to red. And let's change this to the Flow Rider Panthers. We do the same thing, mash execute, and we'll see here everything changed color, and all the stats also changed for the other team as well. So face-offs, see here Chuck didn't do any face-offs. Time on ice, 35 minutes time on ice over these two games, 61 shifts, 35 seconds average, 8 power play shifts, 2 penalty kill shifts, all that good stuff. So it works both ways. All good. The only other thing I might change is I might decrease the opacity of these even further, because I think 20 might still be too high. So let's go 10. I mean, you can still barely see them, which is kind of the point. So we'll stick with 10. Alright team, thanks for watching. Again, if you have any questions, let me know through the email link below in the description. Otherwise, appreciate you watching Sportscode and chat.